In our pop culture lead today, Emmy Award-winning writer, comedian, and late-night TV host Seth Meyers is taking a closer look at his own family and finding that his wife and 3 young children are giving the former SNL alumnus a lot to joke about in his new HBO comedy special, Dad Man Walking. Here's a clip.
My wife and I are so tired. Not only do we not binge shows, I would describe the way we watch television as microdosing. We watch 10 minutes of an episode at a time. My wife falls asleep after the first 5 minutes, but I'm not allowed to turn it off because the sudden drop in volume will wake her up. So I just have to slowly bring down the volume, continuing to watch while the characters just get quieter and quieter, which I think is what it's like to watch TV when you're having a stroke.
Very, very familiar. Here now, the writer and performer of Dad Man Walking, airing now on HBO, which I should note, like CNN, is owned by Warner Brothers Discovery, is Seth Meyers, also the host of NBC's Late Night, as you all know already. Seth, welcome back. Good to have you here.
It's so exciting to be back.
Yeah.
It's been years.
It's been, I think, a decade, although I had your wife on earlier this year for a much more serious segment. So this special is a bit of a departure from your gig on Late Night. You basically trade in the political jokes for dad jokes and husband jokes. You say you want your kids to be content, but you also want them to be content. Does that make some of the more challenging moments of being a dad more enjoyable, knowing that you can turn them into content?
Very much so. To the point where my wife sometimes, when things are getting really hairy with the kids, will have to turn to me and say, "Stop writing," because she can tell that I am not actually trying to help alleviate the situation. I'm just trying to figure out how I will talk about it on stage.
You know what? I have some, and I'll tell you off camera, I have some great stories that you can just take. Great story.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Great stories.
Well, they are fairly universal, it turns out.
Yeah. Just remind me to tell you one. Well, I'll keep it clean. So your wife, Alexi, been a guest on the show, talk about serious topics. We're huge fans of hers here at The Lead. She's also fodder for the special. You call her Mean Wife. You tell her, tell a very funny story about her determination to struggle hummus through airport security. And you acknowledge that for her, it's hard to be married to a comedian. Does she mind being used in your act?
Look, she has veto power, and my only defense for myself is I was a comedian when I met her, so she did kind of go in with eyes wide open. But she's fantastic. You know, she has a great sense of humor that is also a sort of unforgiving sense of humor. She does not like the hacky jokes. She only likes the good stuff. And so basically her rule is if it's really good, and if I can say it in an original way, I'm allowed to, you know, take our business to the streets.
So you largely avoid talking about politics in this special.
Yeah.
But you do tell a story about when your kids got to meet President Biden when he was a guest on the show. Take a look at this clip.
He reached into a bag and he pulled out a stuffed Commander, the White House dog, and he held it out to Addie and he went like, yeah.
He does go on to say full sentences. I should know.
I know, but it sounds a lot more accurate in that little clip. But tell me why you wanted to keep the special focused more on family and less on current events, which obviously is your bread and butter during the week.
Yeah, you know, I feel like with the weekly show, you know, I should say daily show, right? We're doing it and we understand that it has its most value that night or the next morning, maybe. And then they don't age particularly well. And I wanted to make an hour that people could watch 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and would still be entertaining because it's about stuff that is not going to go out of style. And it's also just, look, you do it too. Sometimes it's fun to talk about things you love as opposed to things that make you angry. And even though my kids sometimes are frustrating, I never don't love them. And I think that comes across in the special.
I don't think you and I ever talk about politics, really, when you and I are texting.
We don't really. When we get together, we really don't.
It's a lot about comedy and a lot about family. So we should have a new president sometime soon. I don't know when, but sometime in the next few days. I think it's fair to say.
If you say so, you're CNN, right?
I think it's fair to say that you're not a strong supporter of Donald Trump. But let me ask you this. Should he win, as a writer, you're going to have a lot more material. It's entirely possible that late night ratings, not just for your show, but every comedy show, and also I should acknowledge cable news, will go way up because there will be a lot more going on. Do you ever think about the election personally versus professionally? Like, are you preparing for a Trump victory in any way, thinking well, at the very least, it will be good for our family financially.
Yeah, I'm very happy to say I'm not looking at this election for my own financial well-being, and I'm very disappointed in the people who seem to make that their number one reason for who they're voting for. Look, I personally would be very tired to go through another 4 years like we did the first time out. I think, material when you're a comedian is always out there. You don't have to have it served to you on a plate. It's almost more fun when it's a little bit harder to get to. So I would appreciate the challenge of a post-Trump world where we didn't have it sort of thrown in our face every day. I bet you probably feel the same. I mean, I know you're not allowed to say, but I bet you feel the same.
You have no idea who I'm voting for or what I think about any of this, and I'll cover the news no
right
matter
down
what.
The middle.
Right down the middle. You know me, baby. So Seth Meyers, congratulations. The show is fantastic and very, very, very funny. You at home, you can stream his latest comedy special, Seth Meyers, Dad Man Walking, on Max. Seth, thanks so much. Great to see you again.
Thanks, Jake. Great being here. Thank you, everybody.